Hey there, I'm John from the Cosplay Armoury. Today we're going to be doing another tutorial. I'm going to be showing how we do vacuum forming with a DIY setup that you could do at home. The first thing that you're going to need is your whole basic setup. Now to heat it, what we've got is an MDF box that's lined with tin foil, which will reflect the heat, stop the MDF from burning or anything else. And at the bottom we've got a 2 kilowatt patio heater. This was actually recommended off a video that I watched as a tutorial from X-Robots, which is definitely worth checking out for more detail on the actual process. And to do the actual vacuum forming thing, once we've actually heated up the material, we've got this box here that's full of holes on the top layer. Middle layer is like a frame that just separates an air gap, and then the bottom layer just seals it shut, only an intake for the vacuum cleaner that we're using to suck the air out with. What we're using as the moulds is we've got some clay here that we've built up and modelled, and we've done this on a duct tape dummy that a client has sent us to make some armour for them. We're actually making Iron Man armour, so we'll have pictures of that when it's ready. And the material we're going to be using is this high impact polystyrene sheet. We've cut it into 13-inch squares. This plastic is just protected by a cellophane sheet that you should always take off when you're setting up. So this will fit nicely inside our frame, which we use to hold the material while it's being heated and vacuum formed. So we'll just slide that in there and then clamp the whole thing down with some nuts and bolts, and then we'll heat it up. Okay, now that we've got the material, the high impact polystyrene sheet, inside the frame, we've put it inside the heating box. I'm just going to turn on the heater now. It'll take about 3 or 4 minutes to heat up depending on the thickness of your plastic. I recommend 1.5 to 2mm, as you can get some good detail, it will stay strong and it will heat up fairly quickly. The way you can tell if it's been heated properly is you'll have all 4 sides converging in a dip in the middle. That dip will then begin to rise up and it will flatten out, and then it will start sinking back down. After it's sunk back down the second time and you get a nice sort of even slump across the whole sheet, that's when you know it's ready to be vacuum formed. So let's turn on the heater. Okay, this is going to take a few minutes. You'll start beginning to feel the warmth coming out the edges of the box, and you'll also see a nice orange glow starting to appear from the heater itself. So this is all 4 sides converging at the moment. You'll notice it start to rise back up after a while, once all the 4 sides have sort of met in the middle, which it's actually starting to do now. There we go, it's risen back up and flattened out. Now given another minute or so, it should start to sink back down and it'll be ready to vacuum form. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to transfer the sheet that's now heated up, and it's got a nice rubbery texture to it. You can see it's springing there. I'm going to transfer that over here. Just before we do that, I'm going to turn on the vacuum cleaner, which will suck all the air out the bottom, and you should see a nice mould just suck down very quickly over the top to give you the finalised plastic pieces for your whatever you're constructing. So, do you want to hit the vacuum on? So it's good to leave the vacuum on for a little bit after it's formed, and that just helps cool it down and smooth out any small areas. It's important to note before you do this that you should always try and fill up any spaces of air underneath the moulds. If you've got any pockets, that will stop it undercutting, which make the moulds easier to get out, and it will also stop the plastic from possibly going too thin, bursting a hole, and that will ruin your whole process here. So just keep your moulds as airtight as possible, and you should end up with a nice result. Okay, that's the moulds out, and I just need to unscrew. You only need to unscrew one side fully, and then I'll take these ones off. You only need to unscrew one side fully, and then loosen two at each opposing side, and just loosen the back three a little bit, and that should be able to allow you to slide the moulds out. Okay, so now that you loosened off your screws, you can literally just open this out and slide out the finished bit of plastic. Now you can cut this out. I'm going to be doing it on the bandsaw, which you saw in my previous video, but you can also use a Dremel, which will give you a slightly more precise and easy cut. You can use craft knives, but they do take a while, or a very strong pair of scissors, but don't put too much pressure on if you're using scissors, because it can cause the forms to crack and split along the plastic, which you definitely don't want. So yeah, now we've got this, we're going to do another couple of pieces, and then we're going to go and assemble them all after they've been cut out, and we should end up with a nice sort of finished waist joint for the Iron Man armour that we're making.